little early. I'd like to welcome everybody. My name is Chris, and this channel is Barn on 11970, and we are going to be talking a little bit about what just occurred, and that is round 3 of the presidential debates between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Thank you so much for wanting to take the time, and if you want to leave comments, we got the live chat ready to go. So you are more than welcome to give your assessment if you did watch it. And if you haven't, maybe you'll learn something from some of the videos I posted earlier, little clips, and the things I'm going to talk about here. So welcome everybody that's starting to come in. All right. The first opinion I want to say about this one, well, the first thing I want to say overall is I am so glad these debates are over. I have to say this was probably the most emotionally draining campaigns and debates I've ever witnessed in my 45, soon to be 46 years. So, third time wasn't exactly the charm, but I'm just glad the debates are over. I'm sure a lot of people are going to agree with that. The overall, this debate was It was a lot. One of the things that I'm tired of, and I'm sure a lot of people agree, is we have, and this has happened throughout politics, they spend more time trashing each other than actually talking about the things that will help us, the people they're supposed to represent. So this isn't just talking about Trump and Hillary right now. This is talking about all politicians. All they do is just spew venom towards their opponents. And in this country, this is one of the reasons why I think we shouldn't have a two-party system. Because if it was just regular people that were trying for different areas of government, who just really cared about what's going on in this country, there would be less fighting. There would be more people worrying about the country and the people than particular, reasons for where they might profit or benefit. So I really think that this needs to change, and I think a lot of people are starting to get tired of this. So this, if anything, has exposed it to the nth degree. So as far as who won, this one could kind of go either direction. I mean, it wasn't like the second debate where Donald Trump clearly won. This one was kind of eh. If I had to pick between the two, if you've been watching me, I'd be more on the Trump side than the Hillary side, but I've made in several videos that I just think that this system, like Donald Trump says, I believe that the system is rigged. Your votes don't really count the way you think they do. So, in a perfect presidential debate, if this was really happening the way it was supposed to, if I had to pick between these two, which, by the way, you do have other choices. It's not just Hillary and Trump. There are other people like Gary Johnson and others, but you don't see them having the opportunity to speak. So I'd love to see where the freedom goes with this when they only pick the top two when there are other people on the ballots. So I find that interesting. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things that went on during this debate. It was ho-hum. It was okay. But I think the biggest thing is, they were stuck at their podium, so they didn't get to walk around at all like they did in the second one. And I think Trump gets more of his energy from moving around. That's kind of like me in New York. And, more we're moving, the louder we're going to get. One thing I found quite interesting, I don't know if anybody else picked up on this. They talk about, for example, the Hillary Clinton emails. They talk about 33,000 deleted emails. We all know that number. Now, I found something quite interesting, something that Hillary said early in this particular debate when they were talking about the Second Amendment and her position on it. She happens to talk about how many people died from guns a year, and it happened to be the exact same number, 33,000. Now, I found that quite interesting, because if you know anything about the whole Illuminati thing and the Freemasons and all that other stuff, whether you believe it or not doesn't matter. But they talk about how it hits a level of 33, the Grandmaster. I believe that's the term. So I find it interesting that there are 33,000 emails and 33,000 people dying from guns a year. Now, is that just a coincidence they happen to be those numbers? Of course. I just find it interesting that of all the numbers they could pick, the number 33 comes up a lot. So I just wanted to mention that because that was something I noticed. One of the things I want to talk about is this to me is key. And this is where most people don't really understand what could potentially happen. Now, they talked about a lot of things. They talked about the wall. They talked about the economy. So they had some good conversations. I appreciated that. But one of the things talked about is the economy, where Hillary talks about Obama inheriting an economy. Didn't say Bush straight out, but you know who they were referring to, because Bush was the president before Obama. So Obama had 8 years to turn it around. So at what point do you stop blaming the previous president? And I'm not going to sit here and say Bush did a good job. Of course he didn't. He was a horrible president. Make no mistake. That's why I don't view myself as a Republican or Democrat, because I could not like Bush, who's a Republican, and I did not like Obama. I do not like Obama. He's a Democrat. So see how when you are pigeonholed in a certain way, you automatically have to like the person on your side, whether they're corrupt or honest or whatever. I don't put myself in any specific category, so I could see it for what it is. Bush was a horrible president. Obama was also a horrible president. So, it's just, I find it funny that Hillary is basically saying, well, we can give the 8 years of Obama a free pass because he inherited it from Bush, even though she didn't say his name. Now, she doesn't talk anything about the fact, and Donald Trump did, how Obama went from basically a $10 trillion deficit to now a $20 trillion deficit. Is that all Bush's fault? So does that mean that if Hillary or Donald Trump takes over, that they can go 8 years with whatever happens, and they could just say, well, I'm just taking it over from Obama? So I find that a little hypocritical that they talk about that stuff. Something that I also found funny, they talked about, what Trump supposedly had 9 women all of a sudden confront and allege that he did inappropriate things. They don't have any proof. Whether he did it or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. And if he did, it's wrong. But some of these supposedly happened 10, 20, 30 years ago. My question is, why is it all of a sudden coming out now, where all of these happened all at once? I find that quite interesting. Now, if you saw the video I made the other day, they show that Hillary Clinton staffers have been on tape talking about how they send people to start fights at Trump rallies, and they do all these things to rig the election. That video, last I checked, had millions of views already. It's only a couple of days old. Not my video, but the one that I took some of the clips of, which has the link in the description below. So I find it funny when he's all of a sudden getting approached by all these people that supposedly did things 20, 30 years ago. Now, the average person will say, there's a reason why it just all happened all at once. So I agree that it's not what you think it is. Whether it happened or not, I don't know. And I probably will never know. And that's the thing about this. We'll never know any of this stuff. Now, something that really bothers me, that people don't seem to want to grasp, is, and they even talked about it in this debate, where Hillary is talking about a no-fly zone in Syria. Now, some people think that's no big deal. Well, Syria is extremely close to Russia. Okay. What happens, and she didn't ask the question, because Chris Wallace, who was the moderator, asked her a very important question, which could potentially lead to a potential World War III. I don't believe in that stuff, that's why I say potential. And she didn't answer the question, because she's talking about having a no-fly zone in Syria. And she was asked, well, if a Russian plane violated that no-fly zone, would you shoot it down? She didn't answer that question. Because the answer would be, if she said yes, well, that's aggression towards Russia, and that would start a war. And if you think they're going to use bows and arrows, you're kidding yourself. So she wants, and this is very important, this is something you have to pay attention to, because especially when people throughout other countries always talk about the fact that, this is just an American problem. This is just the United States. It's all their fault. You can point fingers all you want. If we have aggressions towards Russia, that's going to affect the entire world. Because if you know anything about the United Nations, when one of the allies in the United Nations is in war, the others, by the UN treaties, are obligated to join in. And if you think if there is a potential nuclear war that's only going to affect Russia and the United States if it happens, well, you just don't understand how things work. So I don't believe in that stuff. I'm not worried about that kind of thing, but it's something to point out that she did not say, oh, that's not true. She didn't say she disagrees with no-fly zones. And let me ask you something. Who gives us the right to create a no-fly zone in somebody else's country halfway around the world? Just imagine if Russia did a no-fly zone, let's say in Cuba, and the Americans were not allowed to fly in Cuba. Do you think we wouldn't have a problem with that? You don't think the media would be up in arms? You don't think the president would be, on the news the next day talking about, oh, they can't do this? Why do we have the right to do something like that in another country? Did they ask for it? Can somebody please point out to me any news clip where the president or whoever is in charge of Syria has publicly stated, please, United States, take over our land, take over our responsibilities, create a no-fly zone to protect us? And yet we have no problem policing the world. And that is a very dangerous situation. Do we not understand that? So a vote for Hillary Clinton in this, and I've said numerous occasions that votes don't count anyway. They've already selected her. I have a video almost over a year ago telling people before she was, in this thing as she is now, that she was going to be president. You're voting for somebody that wants to potentially start massive, basically friction between us and Russia, the Soviet Union. That's a very dangerous place. And we seem to just want to pass this over. So as much as I don't like what Trump said in those tapes, I will take words said over potential World War III. So, two wrongs don't make a right. I'm not saying he's doing anything better. And like I said, that's why I could talk about Trump and say the things he's done wrong just as well as I could say the things Hillary did wrong, even though I am more biased towards Trump. I'll be perfectly honest about that. But because I don't view myself as a Republican or a Democrat, I can call Trump on his BS too. So what he did years ago was not appropriate. But to sit there and say no one else has done it, I guarantee you, every single person on this planet, if you were recorded when you were talking at parties or talking amongst your friends or talking in a private conversation and you didn't know you were being recorded, I guarantee you every single person on the planet would be embarrassed with some of the things that would be displayed. So we got to keep it real. So whether he did it or not, only he knows. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's right, but I would much rather have that, a discussion, than something that could potentially start a war that will basically or potentially create world chaos. Because like I said, then that's why we're in so many other people's up in their business, so to speak, is when you're in the UN, if somebody all of a sudden attacked Japan, let's say for whatever reason, hypothetically, China attacked Japan, has nothing to do with us. But because of our treaties in the United Nations, an attack on one is an attack on all. So we would have to go in and help Japan, even though we had nothing to do with it. So if there's a war with Russia, all the people that are in the UN, like, for example, France, and like, for example, United Kingdom, England, we can go on with several other hundreds of countries, they would have to be drawn into this. And even if they all said, screw this, we're not going to be involved, if there's a nuclear war, you think it's just not going to affect everybody? So this is a very important election, or shall I say, selection. So that's my thing about that. Now, we also want to talk about the fact that Donald Trump said that the system is rigged. I thoroughly agree with that. I mean, like I said, if you watch that video I made the other day, and if you haven't checked it out, please do. And I have the link to the original video. You can check the whole thing out. There are Hillary Clinton staffers that are basically bragging about all the chaos they create. They pay people, like homeless people, to go start fights and start all problems at Trump rallies. That is not an honest system. Now, whether Hillary Clinton is directly responsible about that, I highly doubt it. As much as I don't like her, I'm not going to sit here and say she's sitting behind some desk saying, like some mafia guy saying, oh, all right, you guys organize this and that. But she's not condemning it either. She's not even acknowledging it. So all you have to do is bring up the video evidence to show that the system is rigged. So when they asked if Hillary becomes president, will Trump basically, say, okay, you won, handshake and congratulations? He said he'll wait and see. I don't blame him for that. Because why would you sit there in an unfair election when it's all rigged, and we've seen it with the media how one-sided they are towards Hillary, and all the things they don't talk about, that if he ends up not winning, and I've suggested that's not going to be the case, I mean, I would say Obama has a better chance of getting a third election than Trump has of winning, because people still think that if you go and register your vote, that it's actually going to count the way you hope it will, even though it's proven time and time again the system's rigged. It's just not going to go the way you think. Another thing I want to talk about is the WikiLeaks. Because I was wondering about halfway through the debate if Trump was going to mention it. And I was thinking to myself, he's not even going to mention it. He should. And he did after a while. And another thing that I find disturbing is Hillary is on record, and I have one of my clips I think I did in one of the videos that shows it, that she blames Russia and Putin for the WikiLeaks emails without any proof. Then this goes to show what I'm talking about earlier about the no-fly zone in Syria. Why does it seem like they want a war so bad with Russia? Now, I made a video a little while ago talking about there might be a potential problem with China. Because I'm talking about the fact that our economy is so bad, they need a distraction. They need a scapegoat. They need people to pay attention to something else while our economy crumbles to the ground. So they keep pointing out Russia all the time, and yet they have no proof of this. And they're basically, she was on record, you could watch the debate if you haven't seen it, where she basically says, oh, well, Trump likes Putin, so they must be in cahoots with one another. I mean, if that's true, then doesn't Hillary like Qatar and Iran and all these other places that she's taken all this money from? She talks about women's rights and everything, but she has no problem with taking money from countries that will murder gay people and make women seem they seem inferior to men. She has no problem taking money. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump was talking about, why don't you give that money back? She didn't respond to that. So there's a lot of hypocrisy here. And it's sad to see what's going on. I really am concerned. I mean, I'm concerned for everybody in general. Like I said, no matter what the situation is, I will always be fine with this because I've been preparing for these kind of things for years. While people were laughing about me saying these things years ago, they're not laughing so much anymore. And a lot of people are starting to talk about the things I talked about over 5 years ago. This situation is not going in the way that we want. And I have a really bad feeling that because the people just don't really care. Now, I'm not talking about the people like you guys that do care about this stuff. I'm talking about probably 90% of the world who cares more about what's going on with the Kardashians than they are with their own politics and financial situations throughout the world. That I've said on numerous occasions that because the economy is so bad, and at this point there's nothing you could do. It's basically a dam that they've repaired so much that they can't do anything anymore, and it's just a matter of time before that dam breaks. And what they want you to do, if you're one of those houses below that dam where the town's going to be destroyed, they want you to look in some other direction so you don't see the waves crashing into you. So they need the scapegoat, and that's why they've been pushing so hard with this whole thing about Russia. If Hillary could show me proof that Russia was responsible for the WikiLeaks emails, I'll be more than happy to make a video saying I'm wrong. And I've been wrong on a few occasions. Everybody has. There's no person on the planet that's gotten everything right. And I'm fine with that. I can own up to the things I get wrong. But this is just... I'm so tired of this whole debate. I'm so tired of this presidential quote-unquote election and the media the way this is going. I think this is so emotionally draining. And I'm glad this part is over. So I would love to hear what you guys think. So when this live show is over, stick around, talk amongst yourselves, share these kind of videos, get an open dialogue going. Because that's the only way we're going to fix things, if we have communication with one another. And I've been saying for a long time that this system is rigged. I totally believe that. And I'm sorry, if you go to register to vote, that's nice that you're doing that. But if you think it's going to be tabulated in an honest and fair way, then you know nothing about what governments have been doing throughout history. You name any society in any period of recorded history where the entire history of that government has been nothing but full of honesty and integrity. You'll see throughout history wars and scandals and the masses of people poor and governments lying, causing genocide to their people. Now, that's obviously not everybody, but can somebody point out any anyone close to a utopia or anything remotely close to it throughout history? You can't. So why is it that people think that this is going to be the magical time? You know, you have a better chance of a unicorn having sex with Pee Wee Herman right now than to pull out the whole history of our recorded history about some government that was there for the people, did everything for the people, and the people thrived. I would love to live in that place. So why is it this time people think this is going to be fair and just with all the things that are going on? I don't understand that. So I think we're going to be the people throughout the world. We're going to be the losers in this thing because we're debating on two people that really should not be president. Neither one of them should be president. Just because I like Trump a little bit better, you know, I might like being punched in the face better than getting shot in the head. Because being punched in the face is probably better than being shot in the head. But I wouldn't sit there all excited saying, I can't wait to get punched in the face. But that's what we're picking. And again, you have other candidates on that ballot other than Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and yet they're the ones on this debate. They don't allow anybody else. Where's the freedom in that? Where's the democracy in that? I've seen this time and time again. It's the corruption of a government that wants to do nothing but point fingers. They want to attack each other while both of them are raking in your dough, your currency. These people are not poor, and yet we're getting poorer by the day. So no matter what happens, no matter who ends up president, they're going to be rich, they're going to be well off, they'll be protected, they'll be taken care of, and we, the general people who put our trust in these people, will end up being the ones that suffer every time. If you think this is going to be the magical time where everything is going to be so beautiful that everything is going to work out honestly and fairly, you just are living in a world that I would love to be in, because it's not the real world. So that's all I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to make this video too long. If you appreciate my points of view, and that's all they are, it's my points of view. You don't have to agree with them. All I say is if you disagree, give me examples why. Do it in an adult fashion. Just saying that throwing insults, you're no better than a political candidate at this point. If people cannot learn how to communicate properly, and we're all guilty of it, even myself, but if we don't take responsibility for how we treat others, how are we any better? And that's why this system is doomed to fail. And the best part about a doomed economy or a doomed government or anything like that is once something ends, there's always a new beginning. So to me, there's always a reason for things. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, because if you're prepared for things, you don't have to worry. It's going to be the 99% who supposedly didn't see it coming, who didn't pay attention, and it's like living under that dam that's about to break. If you left 5 years too early, people might think you're crazy that you left an area that was perfectly fine. But once you look out the window and you see that water coming, there's nothing you can do. So don't be one of those people. So to everybody that took the time to listen to what I have to say, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it days or weeks or months later, I thank you for listening to what I have to say. If this is your first video, please hit subscribe. Check out all my other videos. I'd like to think I have some videos out there that you could learn from. And please help share my videos. I mean, there was somebody that made a comment the other day, and I don't blame him for saying this. I'm about to get close to 29,000 subscribers, and my views of my videos are almost under 1,000 views. That's not even 5%. And they made a comment saying, oh, you bought all of these subscriptions. And I don't blame them for thinking that. I mean, I would never do it. I think anybody that buys subscribers is sad and pathetic. I would never do it, but I can understand why they would think that. So I'm being silenced, or people just hate what I have to say. I would doubt that, because I see some people here that I've seen in dozens, if not more, videos that I've made. They're here all the time. So if they don't appreciate it, they wouldn't keep coming back. So I think it's more of my views are being silenced. But out of almost 29,000 people, to get, like, for example, my video I made last night to has about 500-600 views, it's embarrassing. So I need your help. I need you guys to post these things on social networks if you feel it is relevant. I can't do it without your support. And I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking you to buy t-shirts. I'm not asking you to contribute anything. All I'm asking for is to share my videos and get this message out there, because, like they say, in a video game, if you are headed towards the enemy, you're going in the right direction. So the fact that I still get attacked, the fact that I get blocked, the fact that people get unsubscribed even if though they didn't want to, the fact that they never get any notifications, proves that I must be on the right path. Because if I was this crazy tinfoiled hat conspiracy theorist that some have claimed over the years, and I was just some crazy lunatic, they would want to point me out to everybody and say, look at this person, don't ever be like them. The fact that I'm being silenced, in my opinion, means I'm on the right path and I'm saying things they don't want people to hear. So without your help, there's nothing I can do. So I'm counting on you guys and girls out there who care. So that's it. I hope you have a great day. Be good to one another. Don't just sit there and think this system is going to heal itself. Without your word, without your support, without your voice, without your loss of fear, without losing your fear, nothing's going to get changed. Stop waiting for other people to take care of your life. Whether Trump or Hillary wins, we're still going to be poor. We're still going to have financial problems, and they're still going to profit off of you. When we learn how to take care of ourselves, that's when we'll win. Till then, we're waiting for Superman, who's never coming. So I'm sorry I'm not telling you everything that you want to hear, but I'm sure you would rather hear the truth than people just tell you what you want to hear because it makes you feel better. If that's the case, you're on the wrong channel. So my name's Chris. This is Bar9 11970. Thank you, everybody that took the time to comment. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you have all a great day. And don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered.